go ahead and get started. We have a few more folks in that may be joining us, and as we know, life does happen for folks along the way. So it gets very busy. So thanks for making time today, and we we still want to share, following up on our theme of, 3 weeks ago we talked with folks about figuring out your audience, and then talking about how you could use video to reach people. And then last week, Omira shared out of New York City how they went to their self-advocacy group, and they did the topic they wanted to work on the most was voting and how to get people active in voting, and shared her video. So that's on the site, and they found it energized not only the self-advocates but their staff in some new ways of how they were going to do video. And one of the things we wanted to share with you, just as the topic today, was how do we find that good news of what's going on? Because much of our day is spent solving problems and how we're going to resolve some of those problems along the way. And I wanted to share with you a simple tool that we used for the first time a few years ago with a group of over 400 QIDDs that I was speaking to in Chicago. And I happened to be third in the morning, so I was right before lunch at 11:30, which is a terrible time. Everybody's looking at their watch and ready to go to lunch. And I asked the crowd, how many of you as Qs have gotten a call, text, or email this morning about a problem back at the agency? You've only been gone 3 hours. How many of you gotten a call, text, or an email about a problem? Everybody raised their hand. Then I asked them, how many of you have gotten a call, text, or an email about something extraordinary that happened this morning back at the agency? Not one person raised their hand. And so we started talking about this, and I had brought along 400 red balloons. That's about how many people we had in the group. And I said, how much time do you spend in your day going out searching for good news? And of course, this was all before the pandemic. And everybody said, well, we don't have time to go look for the good news. We're so busy putting out fires, we don't have time to go looking for the good news. So I expected that answer. And so we gave everybody in the group a red balloon. It wasn't blown up. And my grandson helped me blow this one up this morning. I told him I needed a prop. And I said, now walk into the agency tomorrow morning carrying a red balloon. Now, if you're really clever, you'll find a place that sells helium and get your balloon blown up with helium so it floats in with you. And people are going to ask you, what's going on with the red balloon? And say, that's my reminder to go looking for good news. Tie it to your desk, put it next to your phone. Find that way that you're going to take 5 minutes a day and ask people for good news. Whether it's at the end of a phone call, whether it's at the end of a meeting, find that and then figure out that way of how you're going to share that good news. And I ran into someone, was back in Illinois giving a presentation, or it might have even been having a booth about Quillo. And this lady came up to me and she said, I still have that red balloon on my desk. And I keep trying to find the good news that's out there. So when you think about your day, think about whatever that reminder is. If you want to get a balloon, a red balloon, or whatever it is, spend that moment asking people for some good news, asking them what is going on that's exceptional, that you found a way to share with folks. It could be very small. It could be something that is pretty significant. But what is that good news? And then how do you want to share it? I like the red balloon because it's something once you put it on your desk, it doesn't go away until it gets popped. But just as a reminder for you to get people thinking about it. And then you give people their own red balloons, just to remind them as well, there's good things going out there that we can share. So that was our quick tip for you today about thinking about the good that is going on, and it's happening all the time. And how do we share that with folks and figure that out along the way? Now, we had some tips last time about looking at how people were sharing that their good news and sharing videos and the power of video. And we had a couple of tools that can work with that we wanted to touch base on real quickly. And one of them was just sending it out through an email blast, and that's what Omira did. Just sent the video to everyone to make sure they got it out. We've got some other tools that are out there that with YouTube or as a dedicated Facebook page, but also, Barbara and Joe, you guys have done a great job of having that email site where people could just send in good news to one dedicated email and keep reminding people and promoting that along the way. And of course, Quillo is there as another tool that is a little bit more dedicated to, well, totally to video. But Scott, you want to talk about the dedicated Facebook page just for a minute?
Sure. So to piggyback off of what John shared, obviously the red balloon is a great start, but you're one person. Not everyone is going to interact with you, come into your office, especially right now in the era of social distancing. There are more people out there. There are more good stories that might not be uncovered. So there's an opportunity to get people sharing those automatically without even thinking about it, so that you can embrace the power of your whole organization. And a great way that we've seen of doing that with a couple of providers is by creating what I think of as the online digital water cooler, creating a private employee-only Facebook group. Invite all of your employees there. They're already hanging out on Facebook most likely. And when we've done this for providers, we've seen employees step up and share photos of what's going on. Garage bands being formed in the group home right now, gardens that are growing, saying, hey, we've got a ton of extra tomatoes we want to share with other homes, sharing what's going on in the great stories, because the employees are already going to Facebook to share positive things. This is just piggybacking off of a habit that they've already developed and getting it out there to everyone, so that despite distance barriers, time, people on different shifts, it can be shared with the whole organization. Now, I know in some cases, some providers, have restrictions around cell phone use at work or fears around Facebook. And for what it's worth, in the years that we've seen providers doing these groups, we have never once had one of them frantically call us and go, oh my gosh, guys, a grumpy employee got on there and just posted the worst thing. We don't see that at all. If you do have concerns about Facebook or some restrictions to work around, a really simple first step could be creating an email address that's dedicated to good news. So just call it goodnews@yourorganization.org and plaster it around on flyers and get the word out there to people, to when they share something by email that's good, copy that email address so that more people can find out about it. And then you as leaders can put the word out to everyone through an email list or a video, as John shared.
Great. And sometimes it is, again, becomes very contagious when people start sharing good news and you attract other people to it and begin looking at those opportunities. We've got a couple folks on that are just on audio. Thank you for joining us, Ash and Crookall. Anybody, we have just a couple minutes left. Anybody have something they'd like to share or a reaction to the red balloon story that you'd like to share with folks? Colleen, great to see you.
Thanks. Sorry I was late, but our good news, we're just continuing to share those individual experiences that everybody is having, either getting back to work or getting out to be able to see some of their family, and just trying to celebrate those moments where people are getting a chance to have that interpersonal social connection, which has really been tough for the last 2 to 3 months for a lot of the people we support. So
great.
Samantha Crookall from the Lake County Board of DD, and I know they've been doing quite a bit to post things on Facebook. Samantha, you want to come off mute and tell us about what you've been doing?
Well, I haven't personally been doing much of the Facebook posting. That's our marketing department, but we've done a great job of just sharing the positive stories. I know with COVID going on, a lot of, our individuals are limited in what they're able to do because maybe their programs aren't open or things they normally do aren't open. So we are just focusing on the positives and putting things out there of what people are still able to do and celebrating what's going on that's positive right now.
Great. Well, thank you. Well, and I will just share one piece of good news because I was out for a walk and just happened to be walking by Colleen's organization. Village of Marici has this amazing renovated building on the old Fort Harrison grounds, and where they have individual apartments for individuals with folks with developmental disabilities. And two of your young ladies were out on the porch and recognized me along the way and waved and maintained great social distance and had a chat. And the exciting news for Colleen and her organization, in the midst of all of this, they're undertaking their second project. And so very excited to share that in the midst of all of this, there are folks going forward, continuing to develop new options for people along the way. So I know we promised you 10 minutes. We hope this has been helpful as you go do it and begin thinking about those positive stories that are out there. And they don't have to be huge stories like starting a new building project. It's as simple as somebody, again, starting a garage band, and they may be terrible at it, but they're doing something fun and different, and for them, it's a great opportunity. So thank you all for joining us. For those that need to go, thanks for being here. We'll be back next week. For those that want to stay on for a few minutes, glad to have you stay with us. So keep it positive and take care, be safe, and be well in this next week. Thanks for joining.